I can vividly remember the day I almost died. I decided to learn to surf when we moved to Kalbarri. Now, Kalbarri is a great place to surf. It's not a good place to learn to surf. The break is huge and the water is shallow. I did okay for a while. In fact, I thought I was doing quite well until one day I went out when the swell was huge. It was just too big for me. And I remember wave after wave breaking over me, feeling helpless, unable to get to shore. Gladly, I was eventually washed onto the rocks and I clambered out, but there was a time when it seemed like the waves crashing over would simply overwhelm me. Now, experience of life can often be not unlike this. The circumstances which on good days appear manageable can seem to rear up and crash over us. And what's worse, it's that the swell keeps on coming and the sheer repetitive buffering by matters outside our control can become tiring and dispiriting. I wonder whether this is why we so quickly grasp hold of good news stories. This has been particularly so during these COVID days. Many of us check out the latest vaccine figures or anxiously scan the news for signs of normal life, maybe many times each day. Similarly, we're left deflated and disappointed when our plans or our expectations are swamped by circumstance. Clearly, part of being human is finding a way to cope with disappointment that doesn't simply rely on the external circumstances being better. One thing I love about the Christian faith is its reliance on events or circumstances that have already occurred but have their effect for the future. We see this in the first part of the Bible, the Old Testament, in which God's people continually rehearse the trustability of God, which was demonstrated particularly in his action to remove the nation from slavery. We then see the same thing occur in the second part, where the first disciples reflected on the enduring impact of Jesus' resurrection from the dead. Through confronting the worst of the world and breaking the worst of its power, God paved the way for a different view of the circumstances that can threaten to swamp us. The disappointing circumstances are just that, disappointing. If Jesus did rise from the dead, and God has shown that God purposes to share this victory over the worst with us, then disappointment is not the end of the line. The life that Jesus won through death is actually applied to us even through our challenging moments. In a funny way, the challenging, disappointing times actually become the playground of God's liveliness to thrive. Disappointing, yes, but the gateway to discover God's empowering gift.